And we are live.
Live.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Black Prose Club. And today we are going to be doing a State of the Union address of sorts. But welcome to Black Prose Club, where Black lives, Black books, and Black writers have always mattered. Black voices and Black stories have always mattered. My name is Oshale of OT Reads, 1/3 of your host here.
Hi, I'm Brittany, aka Melanin Eclectic. I'm also one of the PBC hosts.
And I am Troy Nicole, and I am the third BPC host.
So yes, thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. I'm gonna let Brittany start us off.
Well, for those of you guys who have never been, hi, welcome. This is Black Prose Club, where Black voices, Black lives, and Black stories have always mattered. We would like to start off by saying we have seen most of the comments, not all of them, because we did not have time to go through all of them. We would like to apologize on behalf of Black Prose for the book panel that was held yesterday. Some of the comments that were said during that panel were offensive to you guys. We heard you guys, and we would like to actually address those comments. Also, there's an echo in the comments say there's an echo. So I guess we'll take turns muting, so we'll stop the echo. But yeah, we would like to apologize to you guys, our viewers. We know that some of the comments that were said were disagreeable, and we are here today because we need to talk about those comments. We need to talk about the panel, and we need to talk about what our Black Book Summit is and what we stand for as Black Prose.
I forgot I was muted. Yes. And so the first thing I want to do is I do want to acknowledge as well that we did offend some Black romance authors, and that was never our intent. The words that were said during the panel by some of the panelists were very hurtful and offensive to Black romance authors, especially some of the indie Black romance authors. And so I, as the moderator of the romance panel, want to personally apologize that happened during our panel. We do have something that we have pretty much in the description box of every single panel. So I do want to take the time to start off this by reading all of that. So bear with me. But you can go to any single one of the Black Book Summit lives that we have up. We have 2 up right now, and you can access this at the bottom in the description box. But essentially it says, here at Black Prose, we believe in fostering an environment where respectful and engaging dialogue can take place. The Black community and Black people are not a monolith. We are as diverse and varied in our interests, our beliefs, and our worldview as any community within the human race. While we have always been clear on where we stand in the continued fight for Black liberation worldwide and the equal representation as well as the unalloyed sanctity of Black lives now and forevermore, we understand that we all have different ideas on how to go about our fight. We believe in having a space where we can discuss our various beliefs and ideologies without violence, perceived or otherwise, and with a respectful and open mien. While we may not all agree or get along, the objective is to be able to listen to one another, learn from each other, and feel empowered to be seen in our individual light. Black Prose believes in having a safe space for Black people to come together and speak without fear or subjugation in a world where we are often silenced and forced to conform to white supremacist standards and infrastructures. The views and opinions of our guests, panelists, and members may sometimes not reflect our own views, but we will continue to uphold the necessity of our platform being one that welcomes open discussion. With that being said, racism, hate speech, harmful and factually baseless rhetoric, disrespect, and abuse towards any individual, group, or entity will absolutely not and never will be tolerated here at Black Prose. Be prepared to share your views, whatever they may be, respectfully, with a mind towards discourse and learning, or not at all. And so with that being said, we are here to clear up some of the statements that were made. We are here to clarify how we feel personally about those statements and where we stand. We have been here for 3 years. I know some of y'all are just finding us, but we have been here for a long time. And I think that our reputation and all of our videos speaks for itself. You can go back and watch if you're new. We have always stood for uplifting Black voices. We have always been Blackity Black, Black, Black. We have always supported Black romance. It's one of the biggest things that we have always supported. So we are here to address those statements, and let's go.
We should also point out, we are not speaking on behalf of our panelists. We respect our panelists for having their own voices. We are only here speaking on ourselves. We represent ourselves. We do not represent anyone else. With that being said, we're here to have the dialogue that needs to happen. At that time, we're not here with the attacking. So if you cannot articulate the feelings without trying to come for somebody's looks or anything like that, our moderators are going to be handling that conversation. We are serious about this discussion. This discussion needs to be had, but don't come for me. Look, you can say that you were offended by the words, and we're going to discuss the offense, and we want to talk about it as a community. But as a community, we also have to be aware that when we're hurt, we cannot lash out hurt by attacking the looks of the person or the looks. It's like, I understand we're hurting. So that's why we're here today to have this conversation. It's not going to be an easy conversation. We did not get through all the tweets before this because we had to come live here. So if you guys have questions, if you guys have comments, leave them in the chat. We'll post them. We'll discuss them. But like I said, we're doing this like adults. So if you cannot do that, then you might get booted out of this conversation.
Hit the backity back, back, back. I never know where it is.
I know. Yeah. So which comment do we want to start with first?
So you got the receipts.
Oh, I forgot again. Okay. Hold on one second. I do have them pulled up. 1 second.
Can you tell we don't spend a lot of time on Twitter?
I know. I don't get on.
Yeah, like we woke up this morning like, oh snap, because the panels are, while Troy's looking it up, the Black Book Summit is something that we started this year. It was in hopes of uplifting Black content creators. And yes, this is our first year doing it. We're already making plans for next year. This is a learning curve for us. We did not expect this. So we're learning as you guys are learning. It's just, I don't even know how to put it. It's like we're addressing issues on Black Prose as if the issues weren't on Black Prose. Like we're going to check ourselves essentially. So it's like, this is interesting. This is a very interesting take for Black Prose. Like I said, we normally talk about these issues, but it's never been issues that like has been caused on our platform. Oh, but also, yes, to also, while Troy's looking that up, we are surviving here in Texas. As you can see, we have internet and lights. So we're doing good. Thank you for asking. But yeah, Troy, you ready with the tweets?
Okay. I guess the first thing we can discuss is that an echo? Okay. Was the comment about relating to Black dialogue in Black romance novels.
Okay, so I'm trying to 100% remember the context of this, but I think, was it connected to the street lit conversation?
It was, the question that was asked was, do you think that Black romance is having, the question was, do you think that Black Prose is having a moment, or not Black Prose, Black romance is having a new resurgence because of the Black movement, essentially?
Yeah.
Do you think that Black romance is like coming back? And that was when the comment was made.
Okay. So for me, I don't understand that. I can't understand where that person is coming from because I read a lot of Black romance. That is probably 70% of the romance that I do read. And I read everything from contemporary to street lit. I'm a huge lover of street lit. And I've always just seen street lit specifically as unapologetically Black, and the type of literature where Black readers can really see themselves, and it's unapologetic. It's presented bare bones. It's presented as who we are. There is no need to gloss over or sugarcoat or hide anything. It's raw, it's real. And that's why I've always loved street lit. I've been reading street lit since I was in middle school. I mean, they used to call it urban fiction back in the day. I refuse to call it that. So for me as a moderator, I refuse to set an environment where there's going to be anywhere for people to see Black women arguing online. I refuse. As Black Prose, we set up a space where people can come and express their views. And, you know, there's also that thing of words versus intent, right? These are their words. I can't say what the intent was. That's, you know, where they have to come in and speak for themselves. But we believe in having a space where people can come and speak freely. And as a moderator, I'm aware of what's being said, and it doesn't have to agree with my personal beliefs. I'm there to moderate the discussion. And so some may say, oh, you know, maybe you should have stepped in at that moment. But how do you step in and not create a contentious environment and create an environment where people feel attacked or feel as if that, you know, you're coming for them or you're setting up a stage for a battle? You know, I'm not going to do that. You know, we have a panel where people can speak freely and express and exchange ideas. And that's exactly what the Black Book Summit is about. It's for the whole community. Black Prose is presenting it, and that's why we're here now, so that we can address these sentiments and make our position very clear, but we can't speak for anyone else. We're presenting it for the community, to the community. Everyone that's going to come and speak has their own views, has their own beliefs. And if a healthy dialogue can come out of that and we can say, hey, you know, I feel hurt by what you said, this is why, then that's kind of where we want to take this eventually. That's why we're having this whole live right now. You know, if we can have a discussion that's healthy and that's not about attacking, that's not about denigrating people, that's about, hey, you know, this is how I feel. I think that was anti-Black because this. I think that was hurtful because of this. Then I think that we can really get somewhere with that.
Okay, so here is one of the first questions that was from some of the tweets. Can you address what was said about Black men and buying things with drug money?
Do you read Street Lit? It's in Street Lit. It happens all the time. That's not all of Street Lit. Street Lit is very diverse. Just like one of the commenters said in the panel live, there are doctors, lawyers, people who own their own businesses. It runs the gamut. Professions, personalities, everything, it runs the gamut. But that is a big part of Street Lit, is drug culture. That's not something that I'm making up. I read Street Lit all the time.
The next statement okay, hold on. I want to specifically address the streets comment. Because during the panel, in the comments, there was also a lot of people who disagreed with the street comment during the panel. I just could not post them fast enough. So I would like us to take a moment here. I personally feel like that particular statement was extremely offensive, just because it creates an idea that there is a stigma behind where you grew up or how you grew up. It can come off classist and very elitist. And as a person, that's my daddy that statement was made towards. To me, it came off like, because I mean, technically I'm a viewer in this as well. So it was like, wait a minute, like what's wrong with coming from the streets? And also there is a negative connotation put to the phrase the streets, as if it's negative or as if it's bad or as if it's this negative stereotype about Black people and where they grow up, as if you can only be good from a certain location. And I think that despite the intent of the panelists, this presented a very larger issue in our community. We cannot create separation within our own community by fuck it. I can't say this like professionally. Like I'm no better than you from where you grew up, and you're no better than me than where I grew up. We don't get to sit here and just be like, okay. And I just want to answer this. I could not speak like this is our first time doing panels. I do believe that we have some things that we need to review for how we do panels, because you're right. If we found it offensive, there should have been a moment where we stopped the panel and addressed it. I do think that we could have figured out how to do that, but we didn't. We're addressing it now because we did not address it yesterday. We woke up this morning and saw it. We're handling it now. I want to, again, state, I agree. I think that we should, hold on. I'm also reading comments as I'm talking, so I'm trying to post the comments that fit the part of the conversation.
I think it's a learning curve and a learning experience for us at Black Prose. For me as a moderator, it's definitely a learning experience, because in the back of my mind is always how Black women are viewed online, right? We're always being portrayed negatively, fighting, coming at each other, this, that, and this. And I just did not want all these hot takes of us arguing and fighting and this, that, and that's just not what I'm ever going to stand for. But I do think there's a fine line, just like Jaleesa said. I do think that there is a way to address things that are uncomfortable, to address things that you don't believe in, to address things that say, you know what, I don't agree. But where that fine line is where I'm going to have to figure it out as a moderator, because I always take the stance of, how can I guide the discussion? And that's always tricky in a live discussion, because things come and go like that. And if you don't catch it in that moment and address it right then, it's gone, and it's gone off to the next thing. So that's just a learning experience for me personally, to find that line.
Yes, I'm trying to get y'all comments. I'm trying. Shay says, I appreciate the answer. I understand that. I just didn't realize any of you found those comments offensive until now.
If you've been here, then you knew.
It's more like, hold on. It's the first time y'all have done panels, the first time you've done lives. Y'all know how to do things right. Man, I just want to say, like, in a way, yeah, B, I agree with you. But doing lives is a total, like, I guess the best way, but when we do lives, it's different. When we're doing panels, it's a different type of live. Like, we're doing it in a sense of like letting other people speak. Yeah. Like we're using our platform to let other people speak. So we know like now it just means like it's gonna have to just get uncomfortable. Like there isn't any, I guess, how do I put this nicely? We don't get to just let them speak and not speak, because it comes off as an agreement rather than us doing our normal. We messed up. That's our mistake. We're taking that blame today. And that's why we're here today. We're going to make it better for our next panels and the next Black Book Summit that we plan on doing. Let me get to the
I would also like to add that I think, to answer part of B's question, is that a difference between doing the panels versus us doing lives, or we've known each other intimately for almost 3 years now. And so we know each other's pretty much take on everything. And, you can have panelists come on your panel and you have no idea what they could or could not say. It was our bad, because I do agree that there is a difference between having a discussion and having an argument. There are ways to have a discussion, because at the end of the day, if any one of our panelists got out of line because we felt that something was not okay or offensive, then it could have just been as easy as Brittany Xing them out of the conversation and us telling the audience, this person left because this person cannot have a conversation without getting super hot. You know what I mean? So it's just like, when we're on live, the three of us, it's like, well, we know what each other are probably going to say because we know each other so well. But I do think that on our side of it, that we should have done more research into our panelists instead of doing what we did this year for the Black Book Summit and letting people, come in and volunteer for these panels, rather than Wait, Troy, I'm talking about having other guests on. I was on your lives last year. Just clarify, I didn't mean you three together. Oh, okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yes. Sorry, I missed that comment.
Sorry, you guys. The comments come kind of late. So if we're responding to comments late, it's not on purpose, but they're like maybe 10 to 20 seconds after we're talking.
Okay. So I'll take it back. Essentially, what B is saying is that they feel, let me go back. Okay. What was it that I said that was offensive to you? Let's start there. Moving on.
While we wait for that answer.
Let me see. And that's what I meant by we're trying to have a discussion. So please share with me what I said that was offensive, and I'll be more than happy to, go into that more. And then the next thing is, let's see.
With this particular comment, while they're scrolling through comments, yes, we have discussions about Black romance on our channel a lot. Usually it's the three of us cutting up. This is the first time that we
invited other people.
So yeah, we are like, this is not the only Black romance conversation that we're having, and it's not the final one that we're going to have. We will continue to have more conversations and more about the genres and more about all the different types. This is not our only one. We're just correcting the mistakes from this one. One of our panelists has come to say, I just came to say that as a panelist, I also could have taken a moment to think beyond how I know the people personally and consider how their words come across. I'm so sorry for failing. What is this? It's different doing a live with like-minded people you have an actual relationship with versus doing a panel with folks you haven't really had a convo with. So on this statement, I always have to take a deep breath before I speak.
I think this is what I think. I think that this is a learning experience curve as well for us doing panels, because we essentially did this on like a volunteer basis. And the reason we did that is because we wanted to open it up to people to volunteer, and we didn't want to feel like we were picking and choosing. And when you do have a panel with people that you are either well familiar with their content, or, like before when we usually have guests on, we're very well familiar with their content. We're aware of why we're bringing them on. We're bringing them on for a specific topic, things of that nature. So I think that's why it's different. Because we kind of know what the conversation is going to look like. We kind of know where the discussion is going to go. For this specific panel, we specifically did not call it a Black romance panel. We were going to have a moment talking about Black romance. We wanted it to be actually more talking about Black romance, but we wanted to talk about romance as a whole. And I think because it was on a volunteer basis, we just weren't as much in control as we could have been of potentially what would be said and what the content would be.
Okay, wait. So let me go back onto some comments. I missed all the hoopla. From what I read, people were upset because it seemed like monster smut and interracial relationships took the priority, and there were people who don't read Black love. I'll have to go back and watch. Yes, from most of the tweets that I read,
that's absolutely true.
Yes, I have no argument of this. I believe this is exactly
what it was. Yeah,
I watched it with you guys. I believe that's what happened. Jaleesa says, the panel is a great idea, but it felt like you all wanted to discuss Black romance, but you had panelists that don't actually read Black romance.
I agree with that as well. That's absolutely true.
We understand now why panels have a vetting process, where it's like all good intentions, but like we failed the panel because we knew the direction that we wanted to take, and we didn't ensure like this is us. We effed that up.
This is on us.
I'm really here like, yeah, we messed up because we understood where we wanted to go in the direction, and the facilitation that we gave did not take it. We didn't go in that direction, and
I take responsibility for that.
Yeah, we're gonna do better. We have no excuse. We're taking our licks and we're gonna come back better. B says, Troy, I'm talking about having other guests on. I was on your, oh wait, we did this one already. I'm sorry.
I read that one earlier.
Yeah, that was earlier.
Also, Steph is known for saying inflammatory statements against Black romance.
I didn't know that.
The problem is,
and that was my fault. We have to do research. We have to figure out, what the panelists that we're coming on, we have coming on, we have to do a little bit more research and pick them more specifically to each panel.
Yes.
And that was on us.
The Bookish Vineyard says, that point, people need to know the topic if they're going to be on the panel. Agreed. From what I also read, the comment about Black men was offensive, especially when America was built on crime, but is celebrated, romanticized when it's white men, mafia, but when Black men, but when Black men, it's frowned upon. I get what she's saying.
I agree with that too. I think for me, because I read so much street lit and drug culture is such a huge part of street lit, we talk about street lit a lot on Black Prose when we do talk about romance. And I think someone said earlier that to differentiate street lit from romance. And I think that street lit is a subgenre of romance, of Black romance, because street lit authors themselves are the ones who use the term street lit, and they do say that they write romance. It's just of a grittier feel. And like you said, when it's white men and mafia and stuff, it's glorified and it's made to look glamorous and sexy. But when it's, Black men in America, it's demonized. And so I 100% agree with that. But I read, a lot of street lit. And like I said, it's not all that. That's street lit itself is not a monolith. That's not all it is. But that's where that comment was coming from.
We've already addressed this comment, but I'll read it again because we don't have captions. So one of the panelists has said not nice comments about Black romance before. We're learning now that from what I was able to see, it seemed like the panel didn't have too many people who actually enjoy and gush over Black romance. And it showed in the way that the conversation went. So yes, we agree with this statement. Okay, here's the answer to your question. Specifically, your comment about wanting to read Black romance with regular business owners versus a guy who bought a gas station probably with drug money, Oshale.
Okay, I think this is when I was talking about street lit, where that does happen sometimes, versus sometimes, maybe in a more contemporary romance that's written by a different Black romance author, that might not be the culture in that book. So I was basically trying to get down to the kernel of truth of what that panelist was saying, when that panelist was like, I just want to read casual, romance about doctors and so forth, even though that does exist in Black romance. I was trying to dig deep to try to get to the heart of what they were saying. Not very well, apparently.
Okay, so we're gonna pause here. We're still doing comments, but the question is, can we clarify what the panelists meant by not relating to Black dialogue? We cannot speak on what the panelists meant, but we can have a discussion right now because we have to stop doing this to ourselves. There's nothing wrong with how we talk. We don't speak any differently than anyone else in any particular city with their own specific dialect, with their own specific twang, vernacular. We have to stop doing this to ourselves. Yes, to me, that was another problematic statement that was said in the panel. And it creates a separation in our community when we choose to decide what language is good, what language is bad. And this is another moment where we should have stopped and talked about this. This is like a Black community conversation. It's like, there's nothing wrong with how we speak. And I mean, I don't read romance, so I really cannot come up with adequate examples here. For y'all who know, y'all know I don't read romance. But this statement, we have to stop this. We have to stop creating a good Black versus bad Black. We cannot keep perpetuating these stereotypes and these hurtful rhetorics amongst ourselves. We're hurting ourselves. And we just gotta stop doing this shit, man. Like I can't.
It comes across elitist. I'm just speaking for myself, how it comes across. It comes across elitist. It comes across as though denigrating, and it comes across, you know, unfortunately, in a way where you have to decolonize yourself a little bit in that way, because we're told that a lot in school. Oh, you know, you're not speaking clearly. It's this. It's not that. Why are you saying this? So it's very triggering. It can be very triggering.
So I'm letting Noria talk in the comments, but I do want to read Noria's comments as well. She was also a panelist. It says, I'm so sorry, Shay, with the hobbies. I would have said something, but my internet kept cutting off. I'm not making any excuses. I just want to apologize for not being able to challenge the statements. And then I want to also point out that Shay responded and said, I completely understand. No lie, from your face, I can tell that you weren't feeling it as much. It was the nods and the snaps of the offensive comments that really threw me or really got me. Dee asked the question of how were the panelists selected? We sent out a message to a group of people and asked, like, who wants to help us out with this? Again, like we said, we will no longer be doing a volunteer type thing. It needs more care than volunteer. Like, it needs precision, and it needs, what's the word for it? When it needs experts, that's the word. And we need precision and experts in our our panelist decisions for next year and for future panels that we have plans for this year. And that's what we're working on now. Next comment, it says, Tasha says, if this is how y'all felt, why didn't you confront them in the moment? Black authors deal with this shit from romance at large. And I don't need this kind of energy from anti-Black romance bloggers.
I mean, I 100% understand that sentiment, and we're going to do better. You know, it's a learning curve, and in the moment you can feel uncomfortable, but you're right. You know, address it then, and we definitely will be moving forward. You know.
Pages of Sid, I think that's Sid. There are so many good content creators that uplift Black romance that could have been chosen, and we've already been revamping. We just haven't, we're starting that with this discussion today, and we're going back through our stuff for the future of this year and just we're doubling all of our things. We're fixing the mistakes that we had an oversight in this situation. There's no other explanations. All we can do is apologize for the way that the panel went, and we're trying to discuss it now. Yeah. Jaleesa, this is Noria, this is to you. We could tell you were a little uncomfortable with some of the statements made. Shay is agreeing. Thank you for modeling accountability. It's a lesson learned. Facts, Jaleesa. I'm reading this out loud because it's a lot of comments.
I feel like the comments don't show up as fast on StreamYard.
They don't, but like that's the only way that I can post them. Okay. One of my issues was the use of the word normal when describing what they wanted in Black romance. I know none of you said this. It was just one of the WTF moments. It's like I'm saying, I think that this presented an issue that a general topic of the issue is this idea of what Black love is. Mm-hmm. And it has been some of the rhetoric that was said, unfortunately, without even, I don't know what the panelists think. I do not know what they realize. I do not know any of that. But it came across as if there's only a certain type of love that's acceptable, and it has to be this kind of way, wrapped in this kind of bow. Yeah. And so I understand why this was offensive. This was a cringe moment. And like I said, go ahead.
As a moderator, I think it was a missed opportunity. I think a lot of these moments were a missed opportunity for a deeper conversation and a deeper dialogue in the moment that they occurred. Now we're having to do it after the fact. which is not as effective. And so I feel that moving forward, that's a learning lesson for me. It's like, no matter how uncomfortable you may feel, because in a way, I took the moderator position as like, okay, well, let me just be in the background and just guide the conversation, which wasn't very successful in itself. But in a way, that was the stance I took. And I think that was the wrong stance. It was a passive stance instead of an active stance. And so moving forward, for me, my takeaway from this, seeing all these comments and all these tweets, is to take more of an active stance and to not be afraid to have that hard moment and that hard conversation in the moment. You know, despite me overthinking, like, oh, I don't want this to completely devolve into an argument or contention or any of that. I think the bigger picture, even beyond that fear, is address it right now in the moment and open the door for maybe an even deeper, richer, more interesting conversation.
And I think what chat, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, and Twitter, everyone on Twitter are trying to say is that not speaking within the moment of those comments being made Black Prose look complicit with what they were saying.
Yes.
And that was the problem within itself, is that neither of the three of us, regardless of if me and Brittany were moderator or not, did not get on, like, even when I was in the comments, did not get on there and specifically say like WTF, or, you know, like asking people to elaborate on what they were saying. As far as panelists are concerned, I can't speak for how other panelists were trying to convey what they were trying to convey, because I have no idea. I can't even tell you how you feel about Oshale's comments, about any of the other panelists' comments. All we can really say is that, you know, it was just a dumb, what's the word? Like, it was just a dumb way of going about our panel on our side of it. Because like, me and Brittany were in the group chat talking away from the chat the entire time. Regardless if we agreed with it or if we did not agree with it, me and Brittany were in our group chat talking about it. And instead of talking about it in our group chat, we should have been in the comments or clicked on as helping Oshale moderate, which is why we were there, to talk about things that we did not agree with. And instead we waited 24 hours, and it did make us look
complicit.
Yes.
I think for me, the hardest part to swallow is the fact that people in the comments during the live were expressing their hurt or their anger or their astonishment, or like, wait, hold on, what? Wait, did you just say that? And the comments were going so fast. But it's like, if people watching are being harmed, then to me, that's the worst part.
Yes. Okay. So I'm not ignoring you if I don't post your question. It's just that we've already answered that part, and I want to continue getting through all of the comments. Pages of Sid says, what about the ambiguous descriptions are what makes a good author comment?
I'm trying to remember this.
Can you guys give us context?
Can you give us context?
Yeah,
this comment I don't remember. So while we wait for that response, I don't remember that one.
I don't either.
I know some of you guys are asking the panelists that are watching directly, and we're going to let them speak for themselves, like I said.
Yes.
Whitney says, I just think we tell white people and other POC all the time to stop saying you can't find it. And I wish I could read this when it clearly exists. We got to keep that same energy with Black people. Whitney, I think you are absolutely correct. We have to be better at holding ourselves. Like, Black Prose has to be better at holding ourselves accountable. And then we also have to do better within how we handle our own community, because it's very easy for us to see the immediate issues from the outside. But when it's in our community, we always feel like we need to decide how is the best way to handle this.
Yeah.
And in theory, that makes sense, but it creates a space for for this. It creates
Yeah.
space for this. And like the panelists, all of our panelists speak well. They can hold their own. So we should have been able to have this conversation yesterday. And I don't know I don't know the way the panel would have gone. I don't know how the conversation would have gone. But I do agree with this. We have to do better. And I keep pointing to us. We have to do better about holding ourselves accountable. And that.
Yeah.
Tasha says, literally everything y'all requested for romance exists. All racially ambiguous characters. Also, racially ambiguous characters are more relatable. What a disgusting trash ass comment. Oh, I remember. Okay.
What was it?
So, I'm trying to remember how it was brought up.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying right here, Tasha. I know the comment that was said. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. Could you give us just like a little?
I will say it from.
I think this was.
While we're waiting, I remember when this comment was made, the chat lit up. And I remember there was specifically a comment in response to this that said, I don't believe that my Blackness should be washed out for a story to be considered good. Like, I want my Blackness
I remember this
story.
I remember this comment. This was when the panelist was espousing upon what makes good writing, I think.
Yes.
And when you can read the story and not able to tell the race or ethnicity of the character. Is that the comment? Y'all please help me out in the chat if that was the comment.
I think this is where we were talking about that. Also, hold on. I would like to read India's comment. India's statement says, so I'm sorry I said things that I definitely didn't mean to hurt anyone, and I'm trying to do better with my words and thinking. And that is a good thing for further development. Hold on. Pages of Sid. One of the panelists said that what makes a good author is that they take you on a journey instead of talking about the diversity of the characters. That is a slap in the face to people who want to see representation in Black romance. Yes. So this was when we were talking about what makes a good romance book, I think is what the question that you asked. I think that was the question. And when this statement was said, the chat lit up with the same idea. And we Black.
Yeah.
It's something about being able to read a book and like knowing that they're talking about someone that looks like you. Maybe Absolutely. Not everyone feels like they need to see themselves in the story, and that's fine. That's their choice. But there is something harmful to the idea that that everybody is so racially ambiguous that you can't tell. Because though race is not your entire person, race is a part of your identity. And so to want everything to be ambiguous, you present this idea that a part of your identity doesn't matter. And again, I do not speak on the intent of when this was said. I do not speak for anyone else. I'm just talking about why these kind of statements can be hurtful and why we should be cognizant of when we say statements like this, just because we're presenting an idea that once we finally get diversity, it's not good to talk about it. Like, right. it's like, oh, it's diverse, but we don't have to talk about it. And it's something that's like, we're in this space. We want to be Black. We are Black. Let's see the Black and hear it. And I don't know if this is what you guys are referring to. But I'm speaking like that's how I feel when I think about that kind of statement and like the harm that statement can do. And I want to make sure if this is what you guys are talking about. So let me know in the comments if this is what you guys are talking about, because I want to ensure that this is where we're going. Let me get back to the comments.
I think also specifically to Black romance, I can see how that would be harmful, absolutely, because, you know, the fact that we even have to call it Black romance and we can't just call it romance, and the fact that white romance is normalized. And
sorry, guys. It's Sunday. We watch church with my family. I told them I'll be late. Continue.
The fact that white romance is normalized and Black romance has to fight for its place. So I can definitely see how even specifically to just Black romance in particular, that is not okay.
I agree, Island Mummy. If we would have nicked this in the butt, if we would have nicked this in the butt yesterday, we'd be good right now. I agree with you. And Tasha says, and can we be honest? Not only did these panelists seem ill-equipped to talk about Black romance, but Black authors in general. They could name Black authors for any genre. I'm going.
You have to address the panelists.
Yeah. But you're right. Like, this is what we're talking about. We're like, we're going to make sure that when we pick a topic for our panels that Black Prose is known for talking about Black romance. So when you came onto the Black Prose Black Book Summit, you expected to talk about.
That's what they expected. Absolutely.
Because that's what we do. So yes, you're right. Okay. So Pages of Sid said that's the comment that they were talking about.
Okay.
The Bookish Vineyard says, not describing characters means that readers will code every character as white. Yes, because that's the conventional. That is the
default, right?
Oh yeah, these were authors that were mentioned. Okay, hold on. Agreed. I also wish they had a well-rounded knowledge of romance as a genre. Yes. Oh, and yes, this is I'm just posting to catch up. Oh. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna read it. The question was specific to Black romance. However, India seemed to be offended by the definition of Black romance and quickly made it about interracial romance. We did get some comments about that particular thing. So here at Black Prose, I mean, in general, we still define Black romance as romance between two or more
Black
people who identify as Black.
Yes.
And like, that's just what it is. It's like interracial is relationship between two or more people who identify in multiple races. That's the definition of Black romance. So I guess from what this comment was saying, like they noticed that India was uncomfortable, but we cannot speak on what India was going through or what India thought, because we are not India and we do not speak for her. She can speak for herself.
Absolutely.
But yes, we did discuss that they did name some Black authors. Our audience is saying that they wanted more than just naming the authors. They wanted to go and they wanted gushing.
Right.
That's
what Black romance and Black romance authors deserve.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Cerebral says, I think the main problem is that many of the panelists came off lacking the range for the discussion your audience came for, and the host not being prepared to handle the missteps.
I agree.
That's a very good summary of, yes, this is very true, Cerebral. Yes. Thank you for the summary, because that summed it up nicely. It absolutely looked like she was uncomfortable when Noria defined Black romance. Okay. I can name a bunch of white authors without reading a dang word. They've written because they're on the timeline all the time. Of course, you know Auntie Bev and Alyssa. How could you not? Again, hold on. Oh no. I think we might have lost. She'll be back in a second, guys. So let's continue. Yes, if you're referring to Cerebral's comment, yeah, that was the cut and dry explanation. And then if the panel wasn't solely about Black romance during Black History Month, why? I know it's y'all decision, but having all Black creators makes it seem so. I understand the dissonance. Yes, that's what we're saying. We're like, we should have defined that better. And again, don't worry. The next time y'all see us do a panel, we won't have none of these problems. All of this is getting fixed today. Don't worry. There will be no miscommunications. There will be no misunderstandings. Like, we will be better.
We will. And I absolutely agree.
And Island Mommy says, to correct me, we did not want gushing. We wanted nuance. So I think we need to have a conversation about the nuance. Like, we're just going to have to add that to our list. The Bookish Vineyard. That part, Whitney. How are you going to talk about Black romance and not know the definition? Tasha, thank you. Now ask them about any of Alyssa's actual bodies of work and its crickets. India says, y'all are correct. I am defensive about that definition of Black romance. I think that definition of two or more Black people in a relationship is a great definition. It is my own defense. Hold on. Let me look at the actual YouTube because these comments are so freaking late. Oh, okay. Our comments have caught up. So I want to highlight this one. Can I say that I appreciate us as Black women speaking and holding each other accountable, but also taking the responsibility? Can we take a moment and celebrate? Actually, yes. I like that we are having a conversation and we are being very truthful and we are being honest. And I really appreciate y'all coming in here and wanting to have the conversation. I think that this is a good idea. And I think that this is going to help because there are other people that are going to watch this. And what we're hoping is that this is a learning experience for anybody who wants to take on this kind of responsibility. And I think Oshley is frozen. Troy, you're muted.
I keep forgetting that.
Can you hear us, Oshley?
Yeah, my internet. I'm so sorry, y'all. It looks like whatever was going on with Noria's internet has come to my house.
So we've been on for almost an hour, so we do kind of want to wrap this up. So let me get through these comments, and we want to do some final thoughts about this and tell you guys our plans, basically. Scarlet Moon Creations. I'm honestly curious on how you'll deal with the panelists saying things you don't agree with in the moment. This is something that, like we talked about earlier, this is something we're going to have to figure out our own method to doing it. Because we don't stop. Oh no, not mid-word.
It's always Oshley.
It is.
Okay, can you put up the question again? Because it went by so fast.
This one. I'm honestly curious on how you'll deal with panelists saying things you don't agree with in the moment.
Oh, okay, that one. Honestly, for future reference, we'll just have to figure out our own way to have, how am I trying to do this, to break away the conversation. Like if there's a topic being talked about at hand for that live or panel, whatever, we'll have to figure out a way to guide the conversation to unbox whatever they're talking about that we don't agree with in a better way than we did this time, rather than letting our moderator, whoever it is, one of us is moderating, sit back and just let them speak. We needed to be more active in the role of moderation, whether, Brittany and I are in the chat or if one of us are physically the moderator.
And
go ahead, Osha.
I just wanted to take this time to take accountability and say this was on me. Like, I was the moderator of this panel. And if things are being said that either I find problematic, inflammatory, I think if things are being said that I don't agree with, that I find inflammatory or problematic, then that creates a great avenue for deeper conversation and dialogue, especially if there are people watching in the chat
who are also having those same sentiments, then that opens the floor for a bigger conversation to be had, that can be had respectfully. And I think that that's more important than fearing whatever perceived, reality of people arguing may be. So that's my takeaway from this. It's a huge learning lesson, huge learning opportunity that I'm actually really excited to take into the future and employ in future panels that we do.
I want to knock out two very important statements that I see happening in the comments right now. Number one, the solution to this is not to only invite like-minded people. Black prose has always been and will always be, you can have opinions and thoughts of your own. But if your opinions and thoughts are different, we should be able to have a conversation. If you know or feel that your comments are different than everyone else's, and you do not feel like you want to have a dialogue about it, that is a decision on your own.
Yes.
Black prose will always have the conversation. We had the conversation today. Because we are a community. We should be able to talk about these kind of things amongst each other and be able to see each other's points. I did not say you have to agree. We did not sit here and say you have to agree, but we will address the comments. If things are said that offend us as our own freaking community, we are going to talk about it. We're not telling you to stop thinking how you think. We are telling you to open your mind to conversation. And that is, I would like that. No.
The most important thing is if things are being said that are harmful, if things are being said by one or many of us that are harmful to others within our own community, that is the point of this space. That is the point of many spaces like ours. We should be able to come together and have a discussion and a dialogue about why that was harmful.
Because it also opens the door to understanding.
Yes.
Because this is my next statement. When we talk about Black love and we talk about how amazing Black love is, this is not an attack on interracial relationships.
No.
Interracial relationships, they are their own thing. And it's just as beautiful. And it's another topic that deserves its own praise in its own separate category. We are not bashing you for who you love. Stop the foolishness. We do not do that here.
No.
We are grown and we are able to have conversations. That's not how that worked. We sat here today for an hour and had a conversation. And it should be noted, we had to have this conversation because we offended some people in our own community. And to be a part of our community, it's okay to acknowledge that there was some offense. It's okay to acknowledge that we made mistakes, but the acknowledgement of the mistakes and being able to hear why it caused problems is important. If there is no accountability, if there is no honest accountability conversation, we are never, ever going to progress as a community. And there needs to be this understanding. It's going to make you uncomfortable. These conversations are uncomfortable. I'm going to go take a shower after this because I've been sweating this whole time. These conversations are uncomfortable because they are necessary. And we have to understand your intent does not stop the hurt. And I appreciate the panelists for coming into this conversation and for apologizing and for understanding. And even some of them for actually explaining their thought processes. Thank you. Because that's what this is for. We really need to understand that, like, as a community, we really have to be better at being able to talk amongst ourselves. We're so quick to band together and immediately attack other groups of people. But when it comes to our own community, we don't want to sit down and have a conversation because we immediately feel defensive. And it's like, I get it. We wanted to be defensive today as well.
Yes.
But we also understand as adults, that's not what this is for. That just meant that there was a discussion that was needed. And I just want to keep reiterating that we will never stop you from being here. But like, I didn't appreciate that. Like, I don't appreciate the idea that like, oh, just have, no. We have to be able to hold ourselves accountable. If you take anything from this conversation, know that Black Prose is taking accountability and we're trying to make it better. So from what you'll see from Black Prose is our attempts to make it better. Our next panel discussions, our next Black romance conversations, like we are going to do better. And so that's what we're here to do. That's our closing, that's our closing statements. But we're never going to stop you from talking. But if you talk, back it up. If you talk, listen to the responses. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that has come today to have this conversation. We appreciate everybody. We still appreciate our panelists for coming into that panel.
We do.
We appreciate the dialogue that has come from that panel. And we just want to continue it. I just want everybody to know that. And again, if you have an issue with it, to specifically address the issue. Don't start attacking the person. You don't know the person. Ask what their intent was. Ask why they said that. Have the conversation. Let's continue to check ourselves. Because y'all checked the heck out of us today.
Sure
so,
did. Sure did.
Like,
which we appreciate.
Since we're here, y'all check the heck out of us today.
Okay.
So we're gonna do better.
Yes.
So I'm gonna step back off my high horse because I almost,
okay.
I almost
take it down. But I just want to close out by saying thank you so much for everybody who came. This is a part of our growth, and y'all are watching us grow. You're watching our growing pains. You're watching the struggle right now. And I mean, when we started this platform 3 years ago and we came together to create a space for Black people online that would be safe, this is part of that. This is part of that. And so just thank you so much for coming. We hope that you come back and continue to watch us grow and be better and hold us accountable to everything that we said in this live. We do have another Black Book Summit panel next weekend. It'll be our last one. We're going to be discussing Black SFF. And we're very confident to say that the panelists on there know what they're talking about, baby. So
I thank you guys for
that one.
I thank you guys again for having the conversation. I want y'all to know I'm sweating ducats under this hoodie. Like, I'm gonna go boil some water so I can take a shower.
But we hope you join us for our last Black Book Summit panel, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next Saturday. And we will be having our book discussion on Sunday, discussing Escaping Exodus. Is there an echo?
I don't hear one.
Okay. Discussing Escaping Exodus on Sunday. So, and we do plan on having a Black romance. We are going to make it up to y'all. We're going to have a specific Black romance panel coming up. So stay tuned for that. And yes, thank you so much for the accountability. Thank you so much for the criticism. We appreciate it, and we will continue. Bye.